Okay. So I probably won't be rolling too late tonight, but I just kind of I've been wanting to get back to doing things, streaming things, since I'm not particularly super active in getting out and about currently. Let me turn the music down a little bit more. Is that somewhere in there? Yeah. So I did take a bit of a break. Let me switch over to hand cam for a moment. Hand cam. So I did take a bit of a break. I was running around out in the wilderness. I took up fishing for I mean, I'm still doing it, but there was a big patch of time where health was doing good. I was like, oh, hey, I want to get out and do some more things. I started doing fishing, doing great with that for a little while. I had another like flare up of my stomach stuff, and then jaw things, and so like I kind of went from like me not streaming because I was doing better to me not streaming because my jaw was screwed up, and it's like slowly working some of that out currently. I'm hoping the current status of my jaw is improved. But anyway, I also had started taking up the old Magique cards again. I picked up some of the more recent pre-cons for cheap. Like I got, let's see, which ones was this? Which, I want to say the Peace Offering was like $30, and the other one, the Family Matters deck, was like 35. It was just like, yeah, I'll pick those up. We do occasionally play Commander when we can get everybody together. So I did already. Let's see, I got Miss Bumbleflower. So I've got Miss Bumbleflower. That too shiny? Well, I got Miss Bumbleflower. I have done a little bit of tweaking to this deck already. So I've got regular stuff. Most of the stuff is still in here. Still working a little bit on it. Kind of go through stuff that I've added and stuff that I'm looking to add. So I've got kind of still want to play around with the Octomancer a little bit more. I don't know how. It's not particularly optimal, I guess, but it's something I want to play with. I've only gotten a couple games in. Unfortunately, I've had issues where getting out causes my stomach to go off, so I take what I can get, really. I sat down and finally got in behind some Discord magic, playing on spell table. I'm gonna try some more of that. So as far as stuff that I've added, I added this botanical brawler just because no Bumbleflower is throwing out +1/+1 tokens or +1/+1 counters everywhere. Yeah, I was like, oh hey, I can get some synergy with other +1/+1 counters going on other stuff, and the brawler just gets those some more counters too. Yeah, why not? Or 2/2 trample, like yeah, that's just a beater I can swing over that's gonna constantly build up. Sure. I think everything else so far here. I want to keep Tamio in. Hold on. Is there bit of something hard there, but I'm not sure what happened there. Anyway, I kind of want to keep Tamio. Don't the the ultimate effect is definitely well worth keeping it in, and it is only 4. The problem is, I guess, is that Tamio costs the same as the commander, and obviously I want Bumbleflower out as much as I can keep her out, just to keep handing cards out and getting tokens. Still trying to figure out like what other stuff I know I want to take out. Am tempted. 20-toed frog is kind of a neat win condition, but like it feels like I don't know. It feels like that would be really difficult to pull off, like just adding them on there from this bubble power. Like I can't flash it out here unless I flash it out or like, get it out strictly for the hand 20 card hand win. I guess that's the only way you're really gonna pull that off. This deck really doesn't just dump 100 +1/+1 counters on anything, so that's not really the strategy going on. I am kind of tempted to take Body of Knowledge out. I like the additional ability to maximize, or sorry, to prevent a card loss because of, you know, hand size limits. It's 5. It is just kind of a gimmicky creature. You're not gonna win with it. And the only way you win with this is that like something like this, you somehow eat a bunch of damage with it and get a bunch of cards. But I don't know. It feels like that doesn't really. That's not really how the deck's going to win. I did add a Basking Brute Scale in as well. Get a nice, anytime you just toss one of your +1/+1 counters for the turn onto it, you're adding just additional spawn counters or spawn tokens that you can sack for more mana, which more mana is always good. I kind of feel like I need some kind of bigger beat face win condition card that I can toss out with all that mana. So I did add like things like snaps, stuff that I can interact with, interact on other people's turns to still pop triggers for Miss Bumbleflower. It's got things like snap. Let's see, some other ones. There's a couple I added specifically. Rewind is another one. Basically, there's spells that are going to untap your lands, throw them out there, so you're getting back what you put into it, so that you have more mana to interact with more things. And a frantic search as well. So it's cards that'll get you some stuff, get you triggers, still does a thing for you, and untaps you so that you can do some more. I also did add Archmage. It's a thing that I can sack to counter spells with, which is kind of more of a late game, like, hey, I'm like approaching a win, so let me lock things down a little bit with a counter spell option, and the +1/+1 counters will negate that -1/-1, so it'll constantly like be back and ready to be sacked again. Let's see, what else did I add? I saw it in here a second ago. So, Evolution Witness as well. Something that's pretty fun. Just anytime you're putting counters on it, you can fish stuff out of your graveyard. I'm not sure if I want to keep the Colonian Hydra in there. I mean, I enjoy the idea of a trampler that constantly is multiplying counters, and since you're putting counters on it constantly, it's multiplying even faster. But some of these things are kind of jank that would be better upgraded with just better cards, like Illusionist Gambit. Like, why not have some other thing like Teferi's Protection or something along the lines of those kinds of cards? Something that will combat tricks that will get you out of taking damage. What else? Just like Perplexing Test, I kind of feel like doesn't do me a lot of good. Like, I don't have a ton. I mean, the only way it works is that, like, if I'm playing against other folks that have a ton of creature tokens, I really wouldn't want to bounce non-creature, non-token creatures. That's like most of my deck. I also did put Wayward Swordtooth in, just as an extra thing, an extra way to put in more lands per turn. At some point, I'll probably buy an Expedition, but they're like, 23, 24 bucks. Like, I'll just put a cheaper dinosaur in for now. Like, it's a body. It can do things once I get enough things. Let's see what else. I put in a Herd Bailoff, another thing that happens to get benefits out of getting +1/+1s on it. So throw in the Token Army. I guess that's like one of the things that this and the other gal that's like when you draw cards, your second card will get you a 2/2 cat. There is some tokens in here, but I don't. I wouldn't bounce everything else just to keep the tokens around. Hey, Fedora! How's it going? I am messing around with magic. How you doing? I do enjoy them. They are very pretty cards. Yeah, old Miss Bumbleflower. I've not played a lot, I'll say, with these new decks anyway. I just got this stuff recently, but she is like kind of like one of these fun. Oh, hold on a second. Let me. I just noticed that those are backwards. Or sorry, they're like the camera is like. Just hold on. Let's see. I need 2. Let's see if I can get this to set up right. So it is currently. Wait a minute. I need to. Where is my setting? Is that what I? Yes, that's what I need. Although that is upside down now, but that's fine. That's better. Yeah. I had it set up specifically for like I was looking at playing on Spell Table, which is a webcam based ability to play physical Magic cards on the internet, and I just sit down setting this stuff up, and then I was like, you know what, it's kind of late. I don't really want to get too. I guess the problem is if I bring this up closer to check things out, it runs out of it loses focus, and then the that bigger light is up. So yeah, I got a couple of these real cheap. The recent pre-cons were coming out, and they were like real cheap. And it was like the first time I like had some money sitting around, and like things weren't getting gouged into like ridiculous price ranges. So I was like, yeah, why not get some more Magic cards, or you know, get something to play around with. Let's see if does autofocus actually pick that up though. Yeah, there it goes. That's better. Anyway, so yeah, I got some of these. I got these two precons. I've added some things to it already. Just a handful of cards. This kind of stuff in here. I think there's some more. Oh yeah, some others that I added. Here's a wayward dinosaur, wayward sword tooth, which I mostly put in here just for this line that says you can play additional lands each turn. So Miss Bumbleflower is a green, white, blue commander. So all the cards in my deck are any of those combination of colors. Commander is kind of just a format that's based around you have your legendary creature. You have your legendary creature, it does things, and then all the cards in your deck have to be based around the commander's colors. You could have just a single color, you could have colorless commanders, you can have all kinds of stuff like that. But the format is very casual. It's very beginner friendly-ish. Like if you know anything about Magic, you can usually get away with playing Commander pretty easily. The precons are usually, there are some good cheap precons out there. I've got a couple like even cheaper ones that I picked up for like $20. But it's definitely just a fun time. Most of the times we're just sitting around playing cards and talking, more or less, hanging out with friends, chatting stuff up, and kind of just playing the card game in the background, or you know, we're playing the card game as a sort of side quest as we're chatting, hanging out. Unfortunately, like I said earlier, like we hadn't really gotten together too much recently, so I've been just like, oh. And then you know these sets came out, they were cheap. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pick up some of this stuff. I'm gonna try to motivate the gang back into playing some more Magic. I have been going out to the local card shop, and on Tuesdays they have Commander nights. And I love going out there and doing that stuff, but I hate that my body hates going out of the house. So I did not manage to stay out there for too long this week. I didn't even get to finish a game actually. So, but I did pick up some other cards. Like I've got some of this, and I'm not sure what we'll put in Miss Bumbleflower's deck specifically, or Bumbleflower. So I've got these monuments, these very Egyptian themed monuments. Kefnit's monument. So anytime you cast a blue, like this one's like reduces the cost of blue creatures, and then anytime you cast a creature spell, it taps a creature's thing, and it taps an opponent's thing and doesn't let it untap. This is blue. I kind of, I'm thinking this probably might go in the other deck. Tapping creatures is okay, but I kind of feel like that might go better in the token deck. The Rona's monument, on the other hand, is the green creatures cost less, and then if we cast a creature spell, Your creature, target creature gets +2/+2 and gains trample, which I think might synergize a bit better with Bumbleflower being able to cast some of the green creatures for cheaper, and then throwing a bigger creature at somebody. Especially with all these some of these tokens that are going to get produced and stuff. Then I think Oketra's Monument, sort of the same thing. It's white creatures, and then you get a +1/+1 white weird creature. Which, again, this one is definitely going to go in the other deck. The other deck cares about creatures that are 1/1s, so it synergizes a lot better in that other deck. This is just some of the stuff that I picked up this week. These cards here. I'm not sure. So Lotus Petal is just, it isn't not the OG, but it is an older, just very good. Like, hey, here's a free mana for a turn. Just throw this thing out here. You can put this in pretty much any deck. The upside is just you're getting free quick mana. So this can go just about any deck. I'm not sure if I kind of feel like maybe leaving that out for a different deck entirely. I do have I have a bunch of other decks that I kind of want to also keep tweaking on a little bit. I'm thinking some of this other stuff. I really dig this sort of like this full art style cards like these. Like Thran Dynamo, which is just here's a bunch of mana. I kind of want to put that in the bird deck. I'm sitting here kind of like thinking of like what I want to take out of here to maybe swap in the monument here. And I think I'm going to. I kind of feel like I might ditch Perplexing Test. It's just, I don't know. It is sort of a board wipe-ish effect. Maybe Body of Knowledge. No, you know what? Let's. Actually, that's an instant. You know what? Let's go. Let's get Illusionist's Gambit out of here because it's kind of a very specific niche card. It's an interesting effect. Like, hey, they're attacking you. If you hold up 4 mana, you can go like, oh well, sorry, the attack. You need to remake that attack, and you can't attack me now. Cool effect, but it's kind of expensive for it. I almost feel like if I'm going to play that, I might as well save the 1 mana and just bounce all the creatures entirely. I mean, why not just do that? So I feel like that might be the better. Oops, not Oketra's. We want Rona's. But yeah, so there is a lot of cool, interesting sets out there. If you haven't played before, or if you haven't played in a while, like I missed a bunch of this stuff. Like the Amonkhet sets, like I said, very Egyptian themed, but there are like essentially like all sorts of the different those avatars that they essentially depict a lot of those Egyptian gods in. Like the Amonkhet kind of has those in the lore, and so there's a bunch of those kinds of gods, more or less, just rolling around in card form. I don't think I have any of the like Amonkhet gods or anything like that, but there's just a lot of interesting planes out there that I missed out on in general, just from not keeping up on the game. just a casual playing around with it here and there. Uh, I mentioned this at the game store the other day. I hadn't, I hadn't been to that place and played actual like Magic there since that place was in a mall like decades ago. And I was just like, yeah, I used to. I felt I ran into that like, oh, like everybody like, well, not everybody, a lot of the people here are like half my age, and they're talking about like playing these cards. I'm like, oh man, like oh, the guys over there are like playing these cards. I'm like, yeah, these cards that these are the cards I grew up with. Like, yeah, they're playing those really old cards over there. It's like, oh yeah, that's those are the cards I started with. Like, oh dang, like, because somebody was like, oh yeah, I haven't played standard since like so and so, and I was like, I haven't played standard since like the '90s, and they're like, whoa, um, but yeah, I lost my train of thought. I so I anyway, I sat down um yesterday. I had like some issues. The whole stomach thing kind of kicked off again, and I was like, sorry guys, I gotta bounce. But like I don't want to like wait around till like we might play on Saturday. We might do a little bit of Magic on Saturday, but I'm not sure. It's always one of those things where like we kind of need enough people to sit down and play with. Um, and if nobody show, if we don't get enough people, then it's just like, well, I'm like done all this stuff. I've gotten excited for a thing, and we're not gonna do that this week again. So I finally like started rooting around again for servers to play Magic the Gathering, like on like in this form, like on this set. Oh, let me not spoil that. I found a community at one point in time long ago. Tried it there, or got all set up, but never really got games going there. Uh, I got on one of the bigger communities and was like, okay, I'm gonna try to do that this week sometime. I don't know if I can. I probably will have to like ask people of like, hey, do you mind if I am streaming these games or not? If not, I'll just play Magic off stream or whatever. It's cool. Um, but I don't know. I enjoy Magic the Gathering both as a game and sort of like social lubrication. Just an opportunity to hang out and chat with people and play, especially in Commander because you're playing with 4 players. Just being able to hang out and like, hey, we're doing this thing, we're hanging out, talking about stuff. Most of the time, yeah, again, it's usually with my friends, our friend group. So it's like, oh, I'm catching up with people that I hang out with now and then. Play with my brother. So we have some fun with that. But then I was like, you know what? I still want to do more. I've got all this stuff. Like, hey, well, why not try this whole online thing? While I have Magic cards out here, though, let's. I'm going to. So I know this is a popular thing out on the internet where people crack open packs of cards and they look at them, they have fun with that, and they're like, "Oh, hey, nice, cool." I don't have any Magic cards. I don't have any Magic card packs just sitting around. Uh, this is a Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, the movie, trading card set that my grandfather had for some random reason. He used to collect baseball cards and such. And then, for whatever reason, he also bought boxes of like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves movie collector cards, and then I think he had some random old television shows like. No, it's not Leave It to Beaver. The old TV shows that nobody is not particularly relevant to anybody anymore, and neither is these Robin Hood. But I always kind of made it a joke years ago that I would reward people in the overall like arcade pit, our little group of people community. I was gonna reward people with unopened packs, and I still have a couple more unopened packs of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves cards. But I was like, you know what? Let's have fun with these things. Hold on. So before I even like get the cards out of the package, there's just a card that says, "Oh yeah, sentenced to death." It's in this nice little like very fairy tale like child's bedroom painting here in the background. But yeah, you're just oh hey, by the way, sentenced to death. Like is this about Little John's son? Oh right, so uh Little John's son, I believe in the movie, his Little John was also like wanted by the law, and so like the law was after his kid as well, and then Robin shows up to rescue his kid from the sheriff's nephew or something, like real early on in the movie. Anyway, let us see if we can get these out of this package. Old Kevin Costner movies. Oh, and only Robin can save him now. Yeah. Just wait. For whatever reason, before I turn these over and look at the pictures on the back, for whatever reason, this design is just like, we're gonna stick the faces of the main actors on the front here. I don't remember all of them. I know Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman. I don't remember who the other two actors are here. What's going on here? Oh, yes. Yeah, as any avid card collector would want, why not a kid like sentenced to death? Yeah, that's what all the kids are clamoring for. Gordon Freeman. Hey, listen, if Gordon Freeman were here, I'm sure he would, be able to rescue this kid pretty quickly. I don't know that these will fit in the deck anywhere. I don't know. I, it would be humorous to just whip out some Robin Hood Men in Tights. Oh, sorry, not Men in Tights. That's a different movie. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves cards in your Magic card game, but Robin and Marion unite. Oh, yep, the good old sideways card. Hey, they. I. That's the thing. I've seen so much about. Like, I definitely remember liking the Prince of Thieves movie, but like once Men in Tights came out, like nobody really seems to remember that this movie existed. It's just like, oh yeah, that's that other movie that Men in Tights was based off of. Well, I mean, yeah, kind of. Basically, Azim prays by night. Azim, the Saracen? I think that's Saracen, is how that's pronounced. Ooh. Praise. And it's just a really dark picture of Morgan Freeman hanging out by a candlelight, I guess. He's just hanging out by the fire. you know, I have a picture that's almost exactly like this of my cat sticking her face in a candle. Like, just for whatever reason, the cat was just, hey, I've got to stick my face in this smelly candle. And it was dark. Oh, I wonder if I still have that picture somewhere. I'll have to look and see if I still have that picture somewhere. But it is essentially exactly this. Love at first sight. Oh boy. I mean, sure. I guess they are clearly madly in love here. As they both, you know, look down at their feet in this, um, this farm area with this hay bale. Like, yeah, you know, this screams romance to me. Uh, fulfills a promise to a dying friend. Yeah, you know. I mean, it's brief. Let's flee. Okay, yeah. Guy Gisborne. That's the nephew that shows up and is like trying to hang the kid earlier. Guy Gisborne. Gisborne, sorry. Will Scarlet. Oh. Good old Will Scarlet. So that's the other. Ah, God, what's his name? I'm kind of awful with actors' names. I know that he was the. I know I've seen him in other movies, but he is currently Will Scarlet in this one. Young Christians. Oh, I could have just read the card. It's Christian Slater. Ha. Huh. Thanks, card. Thanks. You're helpful to me. Young Christian Slater. He's the hot-headed teenage woodsman, Will Scarlet. Hmm. He was also in Heathers, Name of the Rose. Young Guns too. Pump up the volume. Pump up the Hold on, I'll have to look up Pump Up the Volume because I was not aware that was a movie. I thought that was just a, you know, run of the mill jock jam. You know, something that they crank out during the basketball games. Mercenary Monsters. So, hold up. Before I flip this over, Mercenary Monsters. I recently saw some of the the old NES game. There was an NES sort of RPG game based off this movie. In the RPG game, in the game, right? I do not recall this in the movie at all. There were in the game. There's like some fish people that jump out of a water and like throw things at Robin, and I'm like, I definitely do not remember any sort of weird like fishmen attacking Robin Hood in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I don't remember that in any of the stories. Before I flip this over, I'm just curious. Is this gonna like confirm that there was actually fishmen in this movie? Robin Hood RPG. I could play that. You know what? I will pencil that in. I will check that out on a different night. No, these are just people. This isn't fishmen. These aren't fishmen jumping out of the lake to attack people. I'm disappointed. I'm you know what? Real quick, like, can I pull? Ignore that this is kind of broken looking. I will. Let's see. real quick. I just to show that I'm not like no. I guess my controllers. Just to show that I'm not totally. Page down, page down. Actual keyboard. Can't. Why you gotta do this to me? Well, let me sort through my legal stack of NES games that I've sat on, you know, in my entire life of collecting things. All these NES titles that I've apparently my controller has run out of battery even though I haven't used it in forever. Just oh, wait. Go Prince of Thieves. There's a Game Boy version as well. Okay, so I believe it just shows it in the demo here. It's got some funky music to it. I'm pretty sure this is not in the movie at all, but you know, it's a time when the only way to uphold justice is to break the law. The only way to uphold justice is to fight the fishman with your ball and chain. So this is the precursor to your Souls games. It's just really old Souls. Fight some weird fishmen. That happened in the movie. That had to have happened. Video game wouldn't lie to me. Anyway, now that I've established that the video game is bonkers. Same demo. Oh no, it's not. It's the weird side-scrolling mode that is really bad to play. Amazing. Did he lose the fight? I don't. Anyway, let me. I'll have to remember to plug my controller in when I'm done here. But I can. What? What's? Hold on. For. That was weird. I didn't. I just wanted it to transition over. I didn't even select anyway. So we've got. Sorry, we're out of control. By the way, I am out of control. Late at night, opening Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, collector's cards. Good old Gisborne's men go on a spree of terror through the poor villages. You know, that's a thing that we want on collector's cards. Um, just a guy hanging out near a fire. I mean, yeah, sure. That's a moment worth capturing on a card. You know, the vague notions of something was pillaged. Yeah, sure. The ambush begins. Oh no. Sound the alarm. Ah, I do remember this part of the movie. Where they all just hung out in the forest. Just, just being guys hanging out in the woods. And, you know, maybe occasionally doing a highway robbery. And the good old staple of old collectible card things. The poster that requires you to like collect a dozen other things, and then you have this real jank large portion of a movie poster, except it looks bad because you know it's cut into a bunch of pieces. Anyway, here's some characters on the like. Hey, it's people from the movie. There's just some still shots of people hanging out on set. I'm sure this is worth. Oh, it's this is the sticker too. I can peel this off. It's probably worth, you know, 60, 80, $100. I mean, who still has this stuff? It's rare. It's one of a kind, right? Anyway, the goofiness of having Robin Hood. I don't think I have the other television show thing. I want to say it was like I don't think it was All in the Family. That seems way too weird. Uh, anyway, yeah. So Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I've got other boosters over here. Boosters, like they're game cards. I have other packages, but I'm not that. Those are for some other fancy day where I decide to pull those out. Yeah, that sort of stuff was very. I think that kind of stuff was all real limited to back in the day when baseball cards were still really a thing. Because you know, these tops tops is primarily a like a sports card trading you know company that makes sports cards. And so back when there were still a big demand for that kind of stuff, well, they were collectible and people were into it. Uh, when those things were still real popular, they spread out into all kinds of other things: kids shows, movies, television, etc. I'm pretty sure there's probably like cars and I would not be shocked if there were like fossils and cool rock type cards. You know, there's just like things that people like. Oh, hey, I'm gonna throw this cool looking card on thing. Uh, I think. Well, no, I was gonna say. I think Arcade Castle had those SimCity cards, but those were actually for a game. And then that's another thing too. There was all kinds of other card games that popped up even around the time that Magic started that kind of came and went. You know, it just never took off. In fact, heck, Magic almost fell apart too. Like it didn't. It there was a time. Twitch streamer trading cards. Oh no, I mean, that would not shock me, considering things that like the Steam trading cards went through. Like, I at some point in the future, there's always that chance that they're just like, ah, yes, we could like make a total just a category of like everybody who has enough subs just or gets to enough partner level or whatnot, just like, yeah, hey, now you have trading cards, and instead of like having stream drops enabled, you can get collector's cards. Actually, I joke, but like, I, I have to sit here and think like, that if NFTs like became a thing and like everybody didn't realize that they were a giant scam, that would be that would be on that path. Like Twitch would be like, ah, yes, here's the streamer NFTs. You want to collect your favorite streamers? Here they are in ape form. Yeah. NFTs. Uh, I it it hurts me when I realized that people were like big into NFTs, and I was just like, I I I don't see how you guys don't see that this is just a big scam. Like, what 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 do you guys? Oh no. I don't think as I say, maybe I have an ape card sitting around here somewhere, but I don't think I do. Like, oh no, it's me. It's me in card form. You found it. I'm. There are. I think there's enough ape cards in Magic. There's so many cards in Magic these days that you could make a kindred, a typal deck out of just any sort of group of creatures. I know elementals are a thing. Druids. I know there's enough druids. You can make a druid deck if you want to just make druids. Um, but I think that might be the only thing I really want to add in there now. See, I think these other ones are. A bunch of these other ones are going to go in that other deck, which, you know what, I will grab that real quick. Like I said, that monument, there's some other cards that I would like to put in here, but there is. So in Commander, you're kind of playing towards a certain, like, there's a kind of a power level, like how strong your deck is. And since it's a fairly casual game, people kind of want to stick to similar power levels because it's not particularly fun if you're like the person who's got all the powerful cards and you're like winning in 2 or 3 turns and everybody else is just like, oh, I got 2 lands out. Well, I guess you killed me because all your guys, are out on the field now and destroy me. So everybody kind of builds towards like, oh yes, this deck is, this difficulty level. It's this powerful, and so you kind of all group together and go like, oh yeah, we've got this level. We'll all play at this level. So at certain points, you don't want to add, like, I could add more cool stuff to it. Like, let me dig into some of the older Salt cards real quick. So Salt cards, I guess they call them very salty cards because people maybe don't like playing against them, or they're just real powerful. Where's this Miss Bumbleflower here would just as a where you is the right there. So Ristic Study it's a very powerful, well, it's a powerful card in Commander, especially because you're playing a multiplayer format where I will get 1 turn and then there will be 3 other turns that happen before I get my next turn. And so this card just basically says, hey, by the way, everybody else, if you don't want me to draw cards, you have to pay 1 mana each time you cast a spell. And so you throw this out there, and then everybody just has to go, well, okay, either I have to slow my stuff down, or that person just gets all the cards. And these are commons. This card is like was a common at this point. This set. I think this is one of the Urza's like Saga Legacy. Anyway, so yeah, I could put this. This would be a great card in this deck. You know, Bumbleflower loves drawing cards. Everybody loves drawing cards. But like adding this card to the deck would basically make it more powerful. Makes it harder to like play against other people that aren't on that same level, and maybe you don't want to like make all your decks super powerful. So yeah, I like I could throw that in there. There's all kinds of other stuff that I could theoretically throw in there, but like at a certain point you have to stop and go, I don't know that I want to add all the cool stuff to this deck, because then maybe nobody wants to play against it, or maybe it's too powerful, and then you have to play against more powerful decks, and maybe your deck doesn't stack up to those. It's kind of a fun little puzzle to like figure out like where you want your deck to sit at, and what it can contend with, and then just finding that slot that you can fit into other groups with and go like, oh hey, I've got this thing. How does this match up to other people's stuff? We'll see. There's kind of a rough guide of like what kind of things are what power level, whether or not you can kill real quickly, whether or not you have like an infinite combo, like all kinds of different win condition sorts of setups. How much fast mana, like this stuff, like if you have a bunch of cards that just like, oh hey, I'm going to throw down things and get fast mana, and have a lot more mana hanging around before anybody else does, like that kind of stuff factors into those power levels. And like these two two decks, this one and the other one that I'm going to bust out real quick and add some other cards to, like I don't want to get them too powerful. I'd like to keep them to where I can still play them with, especially the friend group, like the folks that I play with on Saturday, my buddies that are like basically part of the board game group that I play around with. A bunch of them don't like play a ton of Magic. They don't have a ton of like older cards or anything, and so they're kind of in the same boat where they will buy a pre-con, or maybe they look at a budget list and go like, I'm going to throw together this $50, $60 deck or whatever. And I'm just like, I want to make sure that I not, because I'm kind of more interested in Magic maybe than some of them, I don't want to like make something that I can't play with them, play against them with, because then it's just like, well, I've made these cards, or I've made these decks, and like they're not fun to play against in that group. Obviously I want to hang out with them and have fun, so I need to keep you need to like kind of keep things within a certain level. And it is, I think, kind of the easiest to do that with just buying the pre-cons and then going through and going like, well, this Bumbleflower wants to draw cards and give things +1/+1 counters, so of course I will maybe upgrade some cards that synergize with that, and then we'll go from there. I think that's all that stuff for there. The other one is where you is. Still in the bag? Yeah. It is in fact still in the bag. Zinnia's Valley's Voice, which is also another one of the precons. Like I said, I think the Family Matters, which is what the other deck is called, the precon, it was like $30. This one was like 33, 34, I think. and these ones come. These particular ones come with the full art commander, and then they also. I don't think I don't know if I showed it. Hold on. Let me look. Let me. They come with these cool planeswalkers. Where she be? They come with the they have planeswalker cards. Planeswalkers are like specific characters in the lore that are essentially like really powerful wizards, and they have sort of a unique mechanic to them specifically. And they will throw them into precons now and then, but these newest ones that just came out have where Tamio. Let me get Tamio out, and then I'll stick her back in the box. I have a Momir. What? What are you talking about, Cobra? Momir. Ravnica card. Oh no. Unfortunately, like I didn't play a ton around Ravnica, so I have like a handful of cards from around Ravnica block, but I don't think I have a Momir Vig. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong thing. So what I was trying to show is that so they made these Planeswalker cards, and they redesigned them to have animal themes because Bloomburrow is part of the animal set. Like it's part of, like I said, it's very Redwall. And so they went through and redid some of the planeswalkers who cameo, like just to show off. Like not the same exact card, but it is the same character. So this would be Tamio normally, sort of this very slender, like noodly. They call them, what are they called? Moonfolk, I believe, because they're folk from the moon. And then this is her on the plane of Bloomburrow. Which, you gotta zoom in for me, camera, please. Okay. Thank you. The Bloomburrow card. Yeah. Oops, sorry. I'm back up off the mic a little bit here. Yeah, like I was saying, cassette. Like, the Bloomburrow sets came out. They hit not too long ago, and I saw that this place that I usually grab stuff from had them for pre-order for real cheap. They were like 30. I think like I said, one deck was like 30, one deck was 35. Oh, thanks for hanging out, Fedora. Much appreciated. Always glad to see you stop on in. Of course, it's not like I've been streaming lately, so you couldn't have been doing that too often. But thanks for popping in. Enjoy a good sleep. Let me see if before you sneak off, see if I can find Elspeth. Like I said, the planeswalkers have all been very cutified and animaled up specifically for Bloomburrow. Where you is? You hiding from me? Are you hiding from me? Elspeth, where is? Let me just kind of zoom in on for me, please. Where? Zoom. Hand, please. Come on. Anyway, Elspeth, is no longer a human woman soldier. She is now a mouse on the plane of Bloomborough. Okay, well, yeah. If my camera were better. Oh, of course, now I'll fix it when I put my hand right in the way. And she's in this deck because she creates a ton of white soldier tokens, which I guess since they are soldier, the creature, it's not, doesn't say. Soldier used to be like human soldier, but I think they're just a blanket soldier now. So technically, she would create mouse soldiers, I guess, but they're not labeled mice soldiers specifically, which is important, I guess, in Magic the Gathering. But yeah, thanks for popping in, Fedora. Much appreciated. Let me stop and before you run on. Always be sure to check out Fedorasaurus streams. He and Lady Flib were playing Death Stranding earlier, which was a fun time to hang out and watch packages fall off backs and into the ocean or not the ocean, into the river and disappear. I will get some sleep. I probably will not be up too much later. I will fix these decks up with this stuff and then probably call it a night. I can't really play any of my video games because my controller was not charged, so I will mess with that another night. I'm trying to find this Momir Vig Simic Visionary, you say. I'm not going to add this to the deck, but I want to see what this thing is that you're talking about here, cassette, because there, like I said, there's so many Magic cards out there. I missed large chunks of time, so I definitely didn't like see everything. Oh, it's a Simic. It's a Simic based deck. Okay. Screen creature spells. Search your library for a creature. Reveal it. Cool. And blue creature. Reveal top cards. Okay. Yeah. I could definitely see that being pretty cool, especially if you're in Simic and messing around with like the Simic creatures and all the constant evolution stuff for those guys. Frogs, frog, lizard, dinosaur, turtle, otter, hippos. All the things that they mutate into. But also, cassette, since you were also doing some streaming lately, I know I did catch you playing some various GameCube games for the GameCube achievements. Put Tamio away. Like, oh, put the other Tamio real quick. Two Tamio. Oh. I say like, Tamio would also be kind of nice. But I don't know. Not like huge on planeswalkers in Commander. The only deck I've ever seen them like really do a lot of work. Well, let me pull back. They can do work in Commander decks, but most of the time, the only times I really see them like really do a lot of work is if you're playing the what do they call them, Super Friends decks, where your commander like is constantly ticking up every planeswalker's abilities and stuff. Probably do some later. Yeah, that's yeah. I can definitely get that. Um, like when I was down in Arizona, it was really hard for me to stream during the day just because um, when you have to like kind of keep other people's schedules in mind for a lot of things, having to it's very hard to just go like, oh yeah, I'll sit down and just do a quick stream or have some fun with something. It's just like, but I can't do that. I I don't I'm not in charge of everything here. I don't have that kind of freedom. Sometimes it happens. Anyway, what am I gonna do? Uh, there are a few cards in here that I still need to trim out. Nothing like super crazy. I'm still kind of looking because like just to kind of I need to swap back over to this real quick because I'm trying to like look at my cam. Oops. I'm gonna look at the OBS and chat at the same time and like be able to position its cards. So so the basically what good old Zinnia here does is it gives creature spells that I cast Offspring to. So Offspring is a thing that specifically came out with Bloomburrow. Creatures that have a Offspring effect, they basically have a cost to them that says like, hey, when you cast this creature, if you pay this extra amount, you get another one of those creatures. They're a 1/1 copy, but you still get two of those creatures instead of just one. And Zinnia says, like, any creature that exists in Magic the Gathering can just do that now. Granted, there is a specific rule with legendary creatures. You can't. Making a copy of a legendary creature normally, unfortunately, would just like destroy one of the legendary creatures because only one of this particular thing can be on your field at any one time. But for any other creature that normally would just be like super powerful anyway, just play one of them. Now you can get two of them. If you pay Zinnia's cost and just pop 2 extra mana onto a spell, now you have 2 of that cool card, which is kind of what I want to add a Thran Dynamo in for. It's a little like pricey mana wise, but it's a lot of colorless mana to just throw into spells. Let me find two. I know there's some that like naturally have Offspring in here. And the nifty thing is that also creatures that have Offspring already themselves. That's Echo. That's a different thing. Creatures that have Echo. Creatures that have Offspring naturally also get Zinnia's version of Offspring as well. So let me find somebody. Where you is Offspring? Here's Agate Instigator, which Agate Instigator is apparently kind of a powerful card in the format currently, at least from what I've heard, people talking about it. So whenever old Agate Instigator, whenever another creature comes into play, Agate Instigator just does 1 damage to each opponent and has offspring. So if you pay 4 mana total, you get 2 of these little lizard rogues, and they start doing multiple amounts of damage. So there's one of them, the copy comes into play, and now you have two lizard rogues that are pinging people anytime another creature comes in this play. But because this already has offspring, then Zinnia says, well, yes, but also you have this offspring as well, this offspring 2. So for 6 mana total, with this and then this offspring here and then this offspring here, you get 2 copies of it. So then you have 3 of these rock throwing lizards just hanging around, throwing rocks at people for damage. And that's kind of the strategy with the deck at large, is just like, hey, you're getting extra value by throwing in some copies of other things. There's another creature where that is somewhat important. Like Teapot Slinger is also another thing that is very similar. So it is a Raccoon Warrior, and when you expend 4, which is if you just spend 4 mana to cast spells, Teapot Slinger does 2 damage to each opponent. Well, with Zinnia, if I pay 6 here, you would have 2 of these very angry raccoons throwing teapots at people for damage. That's the same thing with... Whoa, thanks for the follow. I will check to see. I usually don't call folks out, but thanks for the follow. The Fairy Miscreant here. So Fairy Miscreant is just 1. If you pay 2, you get an extra Fairy Miscreant. For 3 mana, you're getting 2 1/1 flying bodies, which is not nothing. That's a decent thing. But also, when they come in, when that other one comes in, you get to draw a card because they'll see the other creature named Fairy Miscreant in play. So you'll get, not only will you get 2 1/1s for 3 mana, you'll also get a card out of it. And also part of the strategy, part of the synergy, is that not only does Zinnia do the offspring thing, but Zinnia also gets a buff, a combat buff, plus X+0 for any creatures that you have that have a base power 1. So all the copies that come into play, all the offspring tokens specifically, all come in with power 1. So Zinnia just gets a real beefy punching arm just from having other wimpy folks around on the board, which is great, which is nice and all. I then also upgraded. There's a few, like I said, I've put a few upgrades, not a ton of stuff in here, but I've put a couple upgrades in here. Like I put I kind of was poking around some others. So impact trimmers is always a nice thing because it's just whenever a creature enters the battlefield, impact trimmers just does a damage to each opponent. Considering all the creatures that we're bringing in with our offspring, that's a lot of damage to get plinked around here and there. I was kind of bummed that they didn't add this into the deck initially. Where are you? Because it's in the Bloomburrow set specifically. I added the Witty Roastmaster as well, which just says whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, it does 1 damage to each opponent. Again, it's a little bit more expensive. It costs 3, but for 5 mana, you get 2 of this Devil Citizen that also just occasionally will plink out damage to people while you're putting tokens into play. But the Thopter Engineer is not bad. Again, same thing. So This would cost 5 to make 2 of them. When these Thopter engineers come into play, they also produce another 1/1 creature of themselves, so then you'd have 4 creatures for 5 mana. Jackrabbit. Oh, Jackrabbit. Where? Of course, it's like not anywhere that I'm trying to find. Now that I'm looking for the specific card, I did see some other folks like brewing with this thing in here. Scheming Fence. So Scheming Fence comes in. You get to like choose somebody's non-land permanent. So any of their like mana things that they could tap for, their artifacts that they could tap for mana, or any sort of like enchantment or even a creature. You could just go like, oh, hey, by the way, that thing that you just played out there, you can't activate any of its abilities anymore. Also, Scheming Fence gets those abilities, so this dude becomes, a Salt Ring, or maybe your opponents are playing a Thran Dynamo, and you're just like, well, now you don't have this Thran Dynamo. I have this Thran Dynamo, and it's this guy. Except with Offspring, I can make 2 of them. And so I have 2 of this scheming guy hanging out, like just stealing people's stuff. Turning himself into their stuff and then breaking their stuff on the way out the door, basically. Where is the card I was looking for? Sword of the Squeak. There we go. So I'm kind of a little shocked that this wasn't in the deck to begin with. Precons don't always include all the stuff from the set that go in the deck, like are on theme. Just kind of a bummer, but I guess I get it. They want you to buy other product. But Sword of the Squeak also kind of cares about power toughness 1, so I could equip this sword onto somebody, and for all those 1/1s that are hanging out doing things, Sword of the Squeak just like, oh yes, I have, this could be a 8/8, and I'm throwing this sword on somebody, and it, a lot of times it's probably going to be on Zinnia. From what I've seen of this deck, from what little I've played of it, Zinnia is usually kind of your beater. You're dealing out your commander damage to people with Zinnia. And so, being able to toss the Sword of the Squeak on Zinnia and maybe swinging for even more damage, because it's basically almost doubling the effect, because Zinnia also cares about, the plus, or the power tough, or sorry, Zinnia only cares about power, but Sword of the Squeak cares about power or toughness 1. But, it's kind of the same sort of effect. You're getting 2 of it. Zinnia having the sword would. I've won games with Zinnia just swinging over and doing commander damage, because sometimes people get more concerned over the amount of small stuff you have and don't realize that like Zinnia just kind of flies over and does like 12 damage to your face, and then I've lost because commander damage happened. But there are a few things that I still need to take out. And like I said, I would like to put the Brand Dynamo in just to have a bigger mana rock to pump into the Offspring costs, because that's kind of the primary mover of your deck with Zinnia. So it's that. I also definitely wanted to put Alketra's Monument in there as well, because, again, when you cast a creature spell, you put a white warrior creature token with Vigilance into play, and it's a 1/1, so you're also just getting value off of white creatures getting put out there. It does reduce the cost a little bit on also offspringing some white creatures, and I might maybe look to see if I can get more white and or blue creatures, because there are monuments to all the 5 colors, but the red effect, the red monument, is just like whenever you cast a creature card, you can draw a card and discard a card, which is like, I don't know if that's worth the 3 mana as much as, like, this is kind of a weak effect here. Just like, you can tap some things. It's not bad, but like, I would much rather be spitting out more tokens out of the field, because that, plays along with the synergy a lot better. So I definitely want to put that in there, these 2 in. Then I do have, let's see. So as part of the rest of the strategy, Jeskai Banner is just, here's an artifact that produces these colors. So if I need, it's color fixing. I want to have things that create these colors of mana for my deck. So I'm just like, it's not. It's kind of a budget option. It's not like the best option in the slot or whatever. But again, I'm not trying to build like super powerful decks. I'm just kind of like adding some upgrades here and there that might make these work a little bit better and play better, and or at least play more consistently. And so, like, Jeskai Banner, the Palladium Mirror is the one that I wanted to throw in there, just for also potentially being something that has an offspring. So it's 3 for a 2/2 that taps for 2, which is it's decent. It's not bad. But like, if I spend 5, I get 2 of these, and then I can tap for 4 mana, and that's a lot of ramp. That's pretty good curve there. But I don't know, like, at least it's good curve for like this sort of power level. We're not talking about like, having tons of mana and just being able to go like combo off into Oblivion on turn 5 or whatever. But I kind of was playing around with those as part of the engine to produce more mana at large and pay, get bonuses out of playing spells, etc. And then I'm not 100% sold on this guy just yet, this little goblin shaman, but it's the same sort of deal. It comes into play. I'd add 1 red for this one, but if it costs 4 and I produce 2 of these guys, then I get 2 mana just to float in my pool now. And that's 2 mana that could go into another spell that gets me some. Maybe I'd do another offspring with something else. I mean, that is 2 mana that's floating around for a free offspring for another spell. Cool. Hey, Steeler. What's going on? How's it going? Give Steeler a shout out real quick. That was like super belated. That was super belated. And broken. What? Hold on. How did you permanently break my, hold on. What is this? Hold on. Okay, it finally stopped. Was it just because it didn't have a scene to output that to? That was weird as hell. But thanks for popping in. Yeah, you did, like, maybe it's just like not been used to being used for so long that it was just like, oh, by the way, here's 900 of these repeated jokes from MST3K that I laugh at because it's funny to me. But Pokemon Stadium 2, more Pokemons. Well, I am just sitting here like I'm kind of upgrading a couple magic decks before I hit the bed. I was talking about playing some Commander on Spell Table, which is the method of there's a 4-player setup on the Magic the Gathering community that uses the Spell Table system to play kind of physical card magic over the internet. And like I want to say it has its own little like card reader, so you can like hold a card up there and you can automatically show Commander. I don't think it's like Commander specifically that's the problem, or like Commander specifically is toxic. I think there is just enough magic out there that can be super toxic, and you can like absolutely have play groups where people are toxic as fuck. But because like I said, I just got back into playing more publicly, like going to card shops and playing, and not this Tuesday, the Tuesday before, like I had nothing but fun. Like the dudes were cool, like everybody was pretty chill. Like there was definitely some folks around us that were maybe a little bit more rowdy, and you can definitely build decks that kind of just shit on people if that's what you're wanting to do. Yeah, it is definitely the folks that I tended to play with more often than not were buddies that we board game with, and so a lot of times we're pretty chill about it. We're just like we're playing the game and talking and bullshitting and et cetera, et cetera. So it's not as it's not as toxic as hell. Like we also kind of know what everybody's got, and so we can just go like, okay, I'm not gonna play my crazy deck against your deck that you just is still all like right out of the box cards that are not going to keep up with me. Like of course I'm not going to like steamroll you with my dudes. Like that would be shitty. Like why would I do that? But yeah, you can definitely get people who don't care, like that they some people just don't get that you're supposed to be having fun and playing in a group. But thankfully, like I said, I haven't had that problem. In fact, even like the group that I was hanging out with briefly this Tuesday was cool too. I just my stomach started flipping out, and I had to bounce in the middle of the game, which kind of sucked because I was like, oh, I have to leave. My body is screwing up. And somebody had cast stuff on me specifically because they were drawing cards off my draws, and it was just like I hate that I like saw I'm ditching and like that guy's card's dead now. But yeah, there's always that, like that is always just a thing in, especially even though it's like not really competitive, there is still a winner in the game. So there's always going to be people who are just like, I don't care about anything else but winning. It's just like, well, I mean, if you want to play that, there's like, competitive Commander. There's like the hard line, like super powerful stuff. You can go do that stuff all you want, and people like it is just all toxic. Like you're supposed to keep all that stuff over there where everybody's just toxic because that's how they win the deck, or that's how they win the game or whatever. They just totally screw everybody over. But that's how all the decks work, so it's not a big deal when everybody's doing it. But if you're playing with people who just picked up this deck today and just like, oh, okay, I want to play some Magic. I haven't played it in a while. And then you're just like, haha, turn 3, I win. And it's just like, oh, uh, you you don't get how this works, do you? but, but yeah, like I said, I've had good fortune so far with the place that I play at. When I can play. Let's see. I'm trying to trim out a few things and get it ready so that I can kind of hopefully play it like tomorrow or something. Like get on and mess around with the. There's like a Discord that's full of folks that are just hanging out playing Commander, and it's like, yeah, hey, cool. They grab rooms and they all just sit around and they'll play like this. Everybody think everything will be here, and the spell. Like I said, the spell table will let you look at people's cards. Like you can highlight their cards. It recognizes them fairly well, and you can just be like, oh yes, the camera's seen that card, and so now I can click on it and go like, ah yes, it's that card. Because heaven forbid trying to like figure out 20, 30,000 cards, like memorizing all this stuff is not going to happen. But I was looking. I'm not 100% on the rock speaker yet. Like maybe we'll put rock speaker in, but I definitely want to get these 4 in. These ones here, and I kind of looking for 4 cards to cut. I am very tempted by Elspeth just because she's like 6 mana. The effect is nice. I like having just churning out tokens, but like, one of the kind of the bigger problems, I guess, out there is that the big main online version of Magic, Magic Arena, doesn't have Commander format. So like even and Commander format is like the biggest Magic format. Like everybody and their brother. Well, it is very popular to the point where it is the most played form of Magic. But the only online there, I believe you can play some Commander on the other, like the older Magic the Gathering online system, but I think it's less used than Arena is. Like I think Arena is the thing that they push a lot more because they kind of milk more money off people in Arena than they can in the other version. I had to look and see, but I want to say it has the Magic the Gathering Online, the other version, has some form of Commander, but it's one of those things where it's kind of hard, without just like picking up a deck of cards, or picking up a precon and playing, figuring out the game. It's hard to sit down and learn Commander, or get a taste for Commander if you don't play Magic at all, and you're just like, oh, everybody plays Commander, like it's very popular, like that would be the format that so many people would probably want to check out first. But there's not like a lot of good ways to just do that outside of literally just buying a deck and going to a Commander night somewhere. I guess the only other like really good option is getting your buddies to like buy into Magic, which maybe they will, but that's not always a given. So I'm trying to find at least 4 cards to pull out. I'll consider Elspeth. I don't really want to. Sun Titan is also kind of expensive. The best part about Sun Titan is just pulling stuff out of your graveyard with it, but like I don't know if that's like if that's really the kind of synergy. Because again, like the strategy is I want to produce offspring of stuff. I mean, you can technically pump out Sun Titan offspring, but like that's gonna be 8 mana. I don't know that that'll work as well. It doesn't flow quite as well anyway. And even if I did, like, how useful is it to constantly pull back? Do I need the effect that Sun Titan has of pulling stuff 3 or less value from my graveyard? Do I need 2 of those doing that each turn? Like, especially when the other one is only a 1/1. Part of the reason you would want to attack with the other one is that it's, you know, this is still a 6/6. It's not nothing. It's something to tangle with. But the other one's a 1/1. Like you could just send it to die because you want the trigger. I don't know. Yeah, no problem, Steeler. Thanks for popping in. Thanks for the raid in. I hope the thunderstorm does not get you too bad. I do see that they're supposed to also get a light rain tonight. So I think you guys over there are just west of me. So I'm sure I will get it soon. But again, thanks for popping in. Yeah, most of the time, by the time the storms get to us over here, we usually don't get a lot. What do they call it? The Toganoxy split is what I keep hearing about. Like, there's just Toganoxy is just where like all the storms kind of seem to like hit and divide, and so like everything north of that gets all the rain, and everything south of that just like, here's a sprinkle. But yeah, have a good one, Steeler. For popping in. I think I'm gonna look at. Yeah, check it out. Toganoxy. Let's see. So Murmuration is kind of expensive as heck. It's one of the base things in the deck as well. Let me. See, while I'm hanging out here. Where's the other? You know what? Let me turn the Mega Man 2 soundtrack on real quick, just for the background tunes. Wow. Just to have something kicking around in the background besides me talking about magic cards and sorting out the play here. Like I said, most of this is just me kind of bullshitting around because I'm trying to derust, trying to get myself back into the mode of doing streaming things again, and it also does kind of help me stretch my jaw a little bit so that I like kind of avoid some of the TMJ issues. I seem like I do better when I stretch and work that jaw more than I do like resting it, like not doing anything with it. So I feel like, to me, it helps to keep it moving. Anyway, Murmuration, it does fit with the strategy of the deck. Like, it produces It does buff your birds, which, I have a decent amount of birds, and it produces a bird for each spell that I've cast. So if I churn out 2 or 3 creatures in a turn, I'm also getting, 3 more birds. That's more buffs for Zinnia. It is a 5 mana though, which is kind of expensive starting out. Well, I mean, sorry, not starting out. It is kind of an expensive effect in that, like, 5 mana realm that's just doing, like, if I don't have a lot of birds on the field, this doesn't do me much until later. And, like, if I don't cast any other spells this turn, Murmuration just comes out and creates 1 bird. So I get 1, 2, 3 bird for 5 mana. That's kind of not good. But, I mean, if I had other birds already in play, then, that would make this make a little bit more sense. I'll set it aside for now, though, just because there is a chance that I still want to pull it out. This is kind of the same situation, like, it's 5 mana. If I wanted to really get value out of it, it would cost me 7 to get the duplicate as well, the offspring. And it's got a kind of a cool effect. Like, you can basically steal somebody else's creature until they deal damage to it. So you put a shield counter on it. It prevents damage done to that particular creature. But as soon as that shield is broken, they get it back. It's kind of expensive for an effect that basically steals creatures temporarily. Especially if it's something important. They're just going to be like, well, I'll do 1 damage to all creatures on the field or something, and now my creature's back. Thanks. Your 7 magic, 7 mana trick didn't really do much. So I'm kind of tempted to pull the broker out as well. I say, like, Hanged Executioner, like, if it were just these 2 effects here, if this card just read like this, I would probably pitch it, because it's just like, I don't really need another creature that's just going to come in and create more flying creatures. Like, not super great. But, like, the ability to just go, okay, well, now I've got this thing that maybe I could throw and exile something and just like, hey, get out of here. That has some utility. And with Offspring, I could have 2, and I could get rid of the token one. Or both of them. If I need to really just exile some troublesome creatures that somebody else has, like, this is an option. I'm trying to find... Oops. Smack the mic. Trying to find some other decent candidates for... Like I said, I did add a few other things, like the Fairy Miscreants I put in, so... Combat Celebrant is part of the deck already. The Time Wipe is just a sort of a, hey, return 1 creature to your hand and destroy everything else. It's not, like, super great, but at the same time, I don't have a lot of other board wipe options to just replace it. Like, you still... In Commander, you definitely want a couple board wipes or targeted removals, stuff that you can get rid of problems with. So you don't really ever want to cut all that stuff out of your deck. Like, Chart a Course is okay, but it's sorcery speed, and you're basically just going to do it, like, after your combat, which is alright. It's not Unless you really want to discard a card, but I'm not playing anything that really messes around with the graveyard any, so I'm not going to get anything. I'm not really going to get much back if I throw stuff in there. Well, I guess if I kept the Sun Titan in, the Sun Titan I could pitch something that Sun Titan could get out later, but that's kind of seems like a poor strategy to worry about for 2 cards that you may not even see in a game. Rose Room Treasurer is another one of those cards that's like, it's 4 cost, but the effect itself is pretty good. So even if I just played this without the offspring cost for 4, like, it still is getting me treasure tokens every time a creature comes in. That's not nothing. That's pretty good. So if I had the mana to duplicate it, then it's even better. But like, I could survive playing this creature without the offspring cost if I couldn't afford it. And that's kind of the only reason I don't take that out. Just like, yes. And as much as I'm playing like so many other Bloomborough cards, like this, like, hey, anytime anytime any of those creatures enter, so rabbits, bats, birds, or mice, just enter, I can scry one. Maybe there's something on top of my deck that I want, or that I want to search for and answer. Here we go. Here's a way to search through those cards a little bit better. And then other of those creatures also get +1/+1, which, hey, birds, we've got a lot of birds in the deck. There's a decent amount of some rabbits and mice, so, you know, hey. Again, some synergy there. Either Channeler is alright. If I... So the only real problem here is that, like, Tetsuko here is cool, all in all. You know, like, creatures you control that have power or toughness 1 can't be blocked. So early on, if you don't have a lot of other effects on your cards, like, hey, that's just free damage that you're swinging on through with. But, like, any of these other things that give +1/+1s to stuff will kind of eventually negate this guy's effects. But he also only costs 2, so it's not too bad. Like, it's not... If he were more expensive mana-wise, I would probably be like, no. Cloud of Fairies was one I added in there as well. It's the same sort of thing as the earlier... Oops. Focus. Cloud of Fairies. Same sort of thing as those other ones earlier. When it comes into play, untap 2 lands. Unlike the cards in the Bumbleflower deck, however, these are creatures, and when good old Offspring kicks, so I could pay 4 and get 2 of these out, I basically am getting two bodies for free. 2 1/1 flyers for free, and hey, that's just more power for Zinnia. So again, synergy, cool. Molten Gatekeeper is another one of those creatures that every time other creatures pop into play, Molten Gatekeeper does 1 damage to each opponent. Just cool, fancy stuff like that. And then Mog, same sort of thing with the other ones. When this enters, I create a 1/1. It only costs 2, so for 4 you get 2 of these, and then 2 goblin, red 1/1 goblin creature tokens. The echo cost means that you would have to pay to keep it around afterwards, but you don't really care, because when the marshal dies, you also just get another 1/1 red creature token. So you essentially just go like, oh yeah, hey, I'm getting 4 1/1 goblins for 4 mana. essentially. Is what's happening. I need something. I kind of probably should take Arthur out. So a lot of the precons come with alternate commanders, essentially. You could theoretically build a deck around Arthur as well and have a kind of a different build. But if you notice, like, Arthur's strategy is not quite the same strategy as you would with the same sort of deck that you would want for Zinnia. So you see that when Arthur here attacks, if you have one other creature attack with him, you can just kind of look at the top of your library and grab a creature and throw it into the battlefield attacking with them. Which means for this deck, for a deck that you would want to build with Arthur, you would want to cheat in, because you're basically cheating in cards off your library for free. You would want larger creatures. You want creatures that are big, beefy. You know, Sun Titans and stuff would be great in that kind of deck. Well, they're better in that kind of deck. But that's not the strategy that Zinnia really wants. So Arthur probably doesn't need to be in the deck. Arthur really doesn't help me quite as much if I'm building into Zinnia's strategy, so I probably should just take that out as well. Calamity of Cinders is a neat little card, just because it's essentially, it can potentially be a one-sided board wipe, where are you gonna zoom in? There you go. This fiery cat says deal 6 damage to each untapped creature, but since it has Convoke, you can kind of tap your creatures and have your creatures pay for it. So you protect your creatures by tapping them to pay for Calamity of Cinders, and then you burn all the other creatures for 6. It's, you know, a decent way to board wipe that saves your stuff. Restoration Angel might also get caught. Like, I don't know. It has flash, so you could theoretically throw it in on other people's turns. It's basically a flicker effect for creatures. You could be like, oh, you're trying to target my creature? Well, Restoration Angel shows up and saves them. So they leave the battlefield and can come back later. But it's 4 mana. I don't know that the Zinnia effect would be worth using on Restoration Angel. Blade Spicer was already in there. Fortune Teller's Talent was in there. Let's see. I do want to maybe swap out Dusk with something better. It's an alright thing. Destroy all creatures with power of 3 or greater. Although, you know, that definitely has a potential to just wipe my commander off the field, just because if I have a board full of small tokens, there's a good chance that Zinnia will have like a power of 7 or something, and I will... It's a board wipe, but I will like have destroyed my biggest piece in the process. You know, it's considerated. It's in consideration. Angel of the Ruins also, like, it's got a cool effect and all, but like it's already 7. The likelihood that I can pay 9 and make duplicate is kind of not likely to happen. Like 9 mana, I don't know that you want to spend 9 mana on any spell that doesn't like win you the game. And the only thing this thing does is like prevents it gets rid of other artifacts or enchantments. So this at best this protects you from maybe dying, but it doesn't win you the game. You maybe survive. You don't, you know, it's not likely to win you the game. I mean, I guess there's some cards that you could get rid of and you win, but it's just not the likely strategy to happen. All those are there. I don't know. Let's see. I'm looking for. Who else am I looking for? Ornithopter Engineer. Ornithopter Paradise is nice. Since I don't have green, I can't put a regular Birds of Paradise in here, so Ornithopter Paradise is nice. And it's pretty easy to offspring that, so just some extra mana. Let's see. Was there some other cards that I still need to look through? Jazzle Goldmane, I almost was like, I was debating cutting just because, like, Jazzle Goldmane is okay. You know, again, it's one of those things where if you looked at the card like this and just its toughness or whatever, like it's like 4/4 4 first strike, meh. It's this thing here being able to turn your army of tokens into a beater. This is the only reason I'm like, oh, maybe keeping this around is an alright strategy if I'm already like a wide field. I think that might be the most of it. Okay, I think that's, for now, I think that's what we'll mess with. So I will probably keep. I'll probably. Okay, so I know I'm getting rid of Arthur. Like I said, it's not a commander, or sorry, it is a backup commander, but its strategy is so different from Zinnia's that keeping it in the deck is kind of silly. It just doesn't work particularly well. So let's put the old Thran Dynamo in that slot. I do kind of still want to keep Elspeth, even though she's expensive as heck. The Sun Titan, okay, the Shield Broker I definitely am gonna pitch. Or, you know, at least get it out of this deck. And I kind of feel like putting the Palladium Mirror in there, because even, I mean, it's not the best or anything, but you know, even if you can't cast this for the Offspring and get 2 of them for, you know, 4 mana for 5, like even just having this out turn 3 isn't a bad thing. That's a pretty decent 4th turn rolling around, you know. Always get that mana ramp in there. Sun Titan. Like I said, I feel like Sun Titan, the effect isn't good enough that I would want to duplicate it ever and pay 8 mana to have that effect twice. So I'm gonna try to pull it out for now. I'll put the monument in there. And like it's the Jeskai, this banner, it's not like super important if it doesn't go in. I don't know. I don't. I'm sitting here thinking it's midnight. I'm like, I don't know if there's anything else in here that I would just be like, do I pull something else out? Probably not. Like, off the top of my head, I'm just like, no. Probably not. Like, not anything that just hits me over the head and goes like, oh yeah, why didn't I pull this out? Because Azoria's Signet is, just a little bit cheaper, better-ish than that, Jeskai banner anyway. Like, maybe not as the same amount of mana overall or anything, but like it's just like, I'd probably play more Signets over the banner anyway. Like, don't. That's not gonna come out. It would almost be tempting, like Sad Robot, Solemn Simulacrum, or as it's known in the community, Sad Robots. It has a decent effect. Like you when you bring it out, you're getting a basic land on the battlefield, and for 6, you're doing that twice. I mean, that's all right. And if both of them die, you're drawing a card. It's like, it's. I don't know that I would pay 6. Perhaps it is. It is tempting to cut Simulacrum, but at the same time, I don't know that I would cut it for the banner specifically. Just kind of thinking whether or not there's anything else that stands out as like. Restoration Angel, maybe? I don't know. I kind of might keep that in there just for the the trick play, because it has potential uses. Excuse me. So there's this otter. The otter would make anything that comes into play with the power 1, just give it haste. But that effect is not like super important to me. That's not the most interesting thing. The thing below it though is that like basically any of those other creatures that are coming in, all the little tokens that get spawned essentially give the otter here +1/+1 token or counters, sorry, and just becomes unblockable. So, on a good turn where you're pumping in a bunch of other little dudes, that's maybe 5 damage you could pop in somebody's face. Like, I am maybe tempted by Angel the Ruins. Because that is just an expensive. Do I cut it? Let's try it. I'll try that. I'll cut this, like I said, 7 cost spell. And try a little bit more ramp in its place. Because as I said, this thing popping into play isn't going to win me a game, even at 7, even at its base cost. It might prevent me from dying, but at best, that would be at best case scenario. It's destroying artifacts or enchantments that I would like to get rid of to survive, but it's at 7 mana. I do probably need some other sort of board wipe, like maybe a farewell or a austere command or something like that will like also get rid of other stuff as well. But I think for now, I will. Let's pop that out of there, and then I'll replace that with this. And and I'll keep Elspeth for now. I'll keep Murmuration. They work in this strategy. Maybe at some point we'll figure out. I'll play around. I'll try and play around with this a little bit more before I figure out whether or not the 2 red mana from like doing the little trick with these guys is gonna do me much good. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? But I'll play around with it some more, and then yeah, I'll pop the rest of this stuff in my little trade binder, and maybe I'll pop into mess with it another time. Okay, where's my binder at the bottom? Where did old bird go? At some point I might upgrade my deck boxes to something with a little bit more features to it. Like there's I've been seeing a few folks playing with they are this sort of like I have these like this basic Gamegenic box. There's a few that have a front slot and a thick like shell hard case for your cards that your commander goes in, and so your commander's like sitting on the front. You can always look and go like, ah, yes, that is my such and such deck. And it's also always in this hard case, so because it's your commander, like it's always in its special little commander zone, and so it's a neat little thing to just have this, your special card in that hard shell, and then it always slides into place, and it's just a cool little thing. And I'm like, those would be neat to have just for that, and just to keep it like these things a little bit more organized, and not have to like constantly police myself from accidentally shuffling this back into the library and being like, oh crap, where's my commander at again? Where'd you go, bird? But something to think about for the future, perhaps. And I see at the corner of my eye down here the heavy thunderstorms warning on my bar, telling me that storm is coming this way. So it is late. I will call it. I've got my deck sorted out. I don't know. I'll see about playing some tomorrow. Turn off this light. See about playing some tomorrow. I again, I don't know if I'll be able to like record it because it's just random people. I think it would be kind of rude perhaps to just. I would have to ask ahead of time, like, do you guys mind if I stream us playing again? But it's one of those things that's very weird to be like, hey, I'm new to this thing. Do you mind if I stream? Record our conversation. Essentially, it's just like, maybe if it was a group of people I knew, it wouldn't be as weird. So I don't know. I'll just get used to playing the thing, trying to play the thing on the spell table, and I'll go from there. And I will triply remember to plug my controller in before I call it a night, so I can play Robin Hood RPG game. But Anyway, I think I'll call it. It is getting late, and my voice is starting to get a little funky. I'm talking for longer than I've talked in a while. So thanks for popping in, folks. Thanks for hanging out. Always a pleasure to have folks hang out, even if I'm just sitting around bullshitting about magic cards. And let's see if is the shuffle crew still doing their thing? Let me look. It looks like they are. So let me raid over to Time, who is trying to get me into Arcade Pit, or wants to join up with me for Arcade Pit. Maybe I'll be back on again. We'll see. It's still it'll be a couple weeks out. But, if I do the old Arcade Pit, I will definitely do some more streaming time. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm thinking about it, debating. But again, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for popping in. Let me do a little raid. Let me probably raid on over to Time. Okay. What? Oh no, is Time not streaming? Did Time already quit? Maybe. No, he's still going. Yeah. Why would I not raid over that Time? Let's get in on this. Hey, he's been shuffling for 5 hours now. Whew. Oh yeah. Again, thanks for popping in, and I will catch you all another night.